with all the big calls on all the big races. Every Friday morning, I say that. You know it's time for another What a Shout with myself, Dave Orton, in a beaming sunshine capital, coming to you on a Friday morning, featuring the best of the weekend racing, as ever with our sponsors, Bet365, interactive show, Get Your Naps, all about Royal Ascot next week, isn't it? In below, you can do so by liking and subscribing. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, get the chat going up. We'd love to read that throughout the weekend. Feedback is absolutely imperative on these shows, believe it or not, as along with Twitter, hashtag What a Shout. Let's go down the line then. All in-house panel for you today, and this is becoming a Friday thing for us, isn't it? People will be speaking.
You keep booking me on for some reason.
You have to use the tools that are available to you in the
and
shed.
Here I am. I'm delighted to be here as well.
How was last weekend, man? Because you were going off to some party, weren't you?
It was a good do. End up in Clapham, yeah.
And you weren't sure if most people were going to be watching the derby, but even with the story that we had?
Well, my mates just aren't really racing fans, to be honest, Dave. So I watched it with one geezer, paid like half a bit of attention, but
it was a massive moment.
It's not really fussed still.
All right, but what did we make of the winner? Is he the art winner?
Poor. Very impressive, yeah.
Yeah.
King George winner, possible art winner.
Everything.
I don't know. I mean, Emily Upjohn, I wouldn't have masses between those two, to be honest.
No, the unlucky run in the Oaks as well. Yeah. Wow. Let's go to Pat Cooney then from our sponsors, Bet365. Up in Stoke, Pat, it was some weekend, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And, of course, on Friday, we had the desperately unlucky Emily Upjohn in the Oaks. So we were happy bookmakers that day, and not so good bookmakers' reaction on the Saturday after the derby. Desert Crown winning was fair enough. But I'll tell you what was a dreadful result. The runner-up, Hu Yamal, second at 150 to 1. And it's a memo to ourselves once again. When these once-a-year races, like the Grand National and the Derby, people love a rank outsider. And 150 to 1, that was quite expensive. So we had a losing derby thanks to the runner-up.
And unbelievably, 101 dubbed. He didn't mention Perth. Remarkable out there. Right, let's go to Ireland, because we're thrilled to say we love to have him on this show. Deputy Irish editor who was at Epsom last weekend. Dave Jennings joins the show.
I was at Epsom, yeah. Thoroughly enjoyed it as well. Saturday was just a terrific occasion. I'd never been, and I didn't really know what to expect, but... and I don't think most racegoers did either when the fireworks went off. That was utterly bizarre. But it's funny, everybody is very critical of the fireworks, and so am I. It was a ridiculous idea, it was stupid. But at least they tried something. I think racing sometimes are paralysed by fear, and at least they tried something. It didn't work. It won't be done next year. Move on. But I'd rather them try something and it not work than not trying anything at all, to be honest with you.
That's a typical DJ outlook on it. And you're right, DJ, I was in this studio, we were watching it, we didn't have the sound on, we weren't, we were sort of reacting to the racing. And as it went off, we were like, well, the horses are down at the start, they must know what they're doing. But seemingly, did all the smoke blow through the press tent? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I watched the race beside Andy Holding and Sam Turner.
Yeah.
And we're in the kind of just in front of the stand watching it. And it frightened it. It'd be Jesus out of us. And I turned around to the lads and I said, Does this always happen? It's my first time here. Does it happen? And they were like, no, this never happens. And then all the soot and everything was coming down in our faces. It was utterly bizarre. But look, they tried it. It didn't work. Let's try another thing next year.
There was a theory that some of the leading press, gurus there like DJ, they were the first to tweet it because they were the first alarmed by it, I think. But anyway, there we are. That was Epsom. Amazing, wasn't it? Did we see potentially the ARC winner in either the Oaks or the Derby? Let us know. Here's what we've got coming up for you on this week's show then. Yes, it's all about Royal Ascot. Of course it is next week. We've got a massive preview for you on Monday here on What a Shout. Details of that to come. We'll be doing 5 big race previews from Sandown. We're going to York as well. Some decent racing there. Don't worry. We'll find you some winners. And DJ and Robbie are going to pick out some Ante-Post picks for you along the way. Right, little teaser then for you. It is the best week of the year if you're a flat racing fan anywhere on the globe. The flowers, they stand to attention at Royal Ascot, and the equine sport on offer is supreme. DJ, first thing to say is you're going to be with us all week, which is marvellous. You'll be coming here in the mornings and then flying off to the track.
Yeah, busy week ahead next week. We're doing Good Morning Royal Ascot for each of the 5 days, and then I'll be out to the track to try and write a little bit. But probably my second favourite week of the year after Cheltenham. It's always a magic week.
I remember in particular, DJ, this was the week where I sort of got to know you really, probably over the years. I'd be always in this, it's my local track. I'd be in the press room every week, and you used to love coming over. Obviously, we've had what we've had happen in the world over the last 2 years. It makes it that a little bit special. You've been doing something in the paper and on the website over the last couple of weeks, which our regular viewers will know, the Royal Ascot Eye Catchers. Great read every morning. And we've asked you to pick out maybe your top 3 from that, or top 2, maybe with another one on cherry on top.
Yeah, it's interesting. Ascot, the build-up, I suppose, only really happens a month beforehand. So it's not like Cheltenham where you're trying to pick out horses for Cheltenham in October, November, December. Really, it's the month leading up to Ascot. And there's a couple that I picked out. The main one would be a horse called Yashin, that's trained by Jessica Harrington, that runs in the King George V handicap. He won, I was in Navan a couple of weeks ago, and he won a 1.2 mile handicap. And I thought he was far more impressive than the winning margin suggests. He won by a length and a half that day off 86. But the runner-up, Vina Senna, came to him, looked like I thought was going to go by, and then Yashin just picked him up again and went clear. We went up £10 for winning that, but he's up to a mark of 96 now, and that guarantees him getting into the race. I spoke to Jessica Harrington for the stable tours and Racing Post this week, and all systems go for this race, and I think he's got a little bit more up his sleeve. I'd say he's probably a stakes horse running in the handicap.
Well, that's exactly what you're going to need to win that race, fast and furious. All right, Yashin, people can get that down. We've got a graphic coming up for you, of course, but do get that down in your notebooks and have a look in your members club at that replay. DJ, number 2, please.
It's got to be Potapova and the Duke of Cambridge. I was in Epsom last Saturday, and I just thought for all the world it was the sort of performance that was a stepping stone to something else. She was a massive drifter before the race. If you remember all week, she was about 5-2, 11-4 all week for that race. And she drifted way out to 11-2 and was freely available at 6-1 in the ring beforehand. She completely missed a break. The blindfold came off late. But what she did during the race, I thought was really eye-catching. She made her move towards the far side on the Rhine Moor. And to me, it was just performance that suggested her career best was about to come. I think that'll come in the Duke of Cambridge. She'll get a fast pace to chase. I think Ascot will suit her. And you have to remember, after 2 starts, I think, at Redcar Chelmsford last year, Michael South threw her into the Coronation Stakes. He obviously thinks the world of her, and I do too. I think she was 12-1 on Monday. I think she's 7-1 bet 365 now. I still think that's a big price.
Well, there you go. You're doing Pat's work for him. Let's go to Pat. We've mentioned Yashin as well. You think he'll be fancied, Pat? You're just going to wait for the deck, so I imagine, to come out before you give us an Ante-Post carrot for that. But the Duke of Cambridge, one of the highlights for the fillies, through the week. And Shively Park have got a strong hand there, haven't they? Lights on, of course, Sir Michael Jones. But Bashkarova, who won Potapova's race. I'm with DJ. They've always loved Potapova. I've known that for a long time. She was sensational on the day. Then she got a little bit lost. You just get the feeling that she left something on the track at Epsom, don't you, last week?
Yeah, this is a deep old race, isn't it? And you do look at Potapova and you think, well, how come she hasn't won more often than she has? But there has been legitimate reasons for the defeats. But as you touched on, Shively Parker got a strong hand, lights out, Bashrakova. Saffron Beach is there, of course. That has to be taken seriously, albeit that has a group penalty. And there's an improving horse from France, Sibylla Spain, Freddie Head. That's amongst the entries as well. So deep old race, you can always put in Mother Earth in a race like this. So fair play to DJ. He's picked probably one of the hardest non-handicaps at the meeting, I think.
That's what he loves to do. Okay, right, DJ. Icing on the cake. What's it going to be? Number 3.
Well, I'm going to give you my banker of the week. Excuse me. I'm going to give you my banker of the week now. I've been shouting about this for the last few weeks. I really fancy Minzal in the Platinum Jubilee on Saturday. Now, it's a tricky race to be fancying a horse really strongly in because there's so much international talent coming over for the race. And really, we don't know how they compare with our homegrown talented sprinters. But I think with Minzal, I actually really liked his run at York. I thought Dragon Symbol dropped away on the near side and left him on front. And then he kind of was racing on his own throughout the final kind of 2 furlongs. I thought his run last year in Champions Day in the Champions Sprint was a hell of a run. He won the Gimcrack in 2020. I just think a really, really fast run 6 at Ascot is exactly what he needs. Owen Burrows seems to have had a really straight run winning this season, which wasn't the case last season. We didn't see him until later in the year. To me, he's always looked a Group 1 sprinter, and I think he's going to prove it in the Platinum Jubilee. He's around about 14-1 as well, which I think is a big price.
You'd never think a trainer like that would need a boost after winning the Coronation Cup at Epsom. Of course, Paul Hookham now, maybe a career-ending injury through the race as well. He is a very interesting horse. But that's a bit of a curveball for you, and I imagine he's going to be a nice, juicy price.
Yeah, we're 14-1 him as well. This is a tricky old race, because some of these horses may well double up running in the King's Stand on the Tuesday. And whether they're victorious or beaten, they might rock up on the Saturday as well. So tricky race to price up at the moment. What I would say, it's been a slow betting race because of that, really. But I suppose the likes of Campanelle, of Wesley Ward, Home Affairs of Chris Waller, they bring that overseas form to the table, and lots of people are divided on that. Some say, well, they're not that good, are they? And others say, oh yeah, but these are American horses and Australian horses, and they're better. So it always divides opinion, which is great. But Min's out, yeah, I see that, certainly from an each way angle. Maybe one for the day when all the extra places are on show.
I felt certain that DJ was going to give us a 2-year-old there. I might come back to him on that in a second. But waiting in the wings is the Ante-Post man. And DJ's right, isn't it? This is very, very different to Cheltenham. When do you start homing in?
I prefer this to Cheltenham. It's my favourite punting week of the year.
Is it?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I mean, I'm looking a couple of months in advance. Well, as soon as the flat season starts, really, I'm having a look at the markets.
Give us the trio.
The trio is Cadillac in the Wolferton, right?
Right, stop there. Why?
The reason is, Adabe is favourite, right? He's 8 years old now. He's not going to get the soft ground he wants.
Yeah.
I think he's probably a little bit past his best, and he might not even run if it's good to firm. Second favourite, Mahafeth, running at York today on Friday. Not going to run. Third favourite, Cadillac, about 10-1. But he'll go off way shorter. Progressive 4-year-old has been laid out for the race. Long-term target. Really liked his run at Leopardstown when he won by 4 lengths a listed race last time.
Yeah.
I just think he's the improving horse in the field, and he's going to get his conditions.
This is another Jesse Harrington horse then, Dave, Cadillac. We once had Dave Redvers on this show. I think it was pre-Derby last year, actually. He said and Cadillac had just hosed up, I think. And it might have even been 2 years ago now, such as quickly as it gone. He said, everyone wants the keys to Cadillac. It was a great line. He hasn't quite hit the heights yet, has he?
No, and I thought he was gone at the game. I was mad to take him on at Leopardstown last time. I fancied Georgeville for Ger Lyons in that race. And he really did bounce back to his best. The sections were really quick as well. From the 3 pole to the line were really eye-catching. And I think with Cadillac, I spoke to Jessica Harrington for the stable tour, which is in today's Racing Post. And she seems to think both him and Discoveries in the Coronation Stakes have both just come to themselves in the last kind of 2 to 3 weeks. And I think with Cadillac, like, he has a touch of class. Like, he looked for all the world like he was going to win a Group 1 when he was a 2-year-old. And I can certainly see where Robbie is coming from. He's got a touch of class. He's actually in the sales before Ascot. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. But he is a classy horse who could just be a little bit better than the horse he's run against in that.
Thanks, DJ. A low draw in the Wolverton has been for a long time sought after. So if you get a low draw, you're going to
We'll have a look. I think it could be a fairly decent field.
It's always wide open, isn't it? Pat, Cadillac at the moment with you guys?
Yeah, he's 9-1, and as DJ says, he's in the sales at Ascot Racecourse on the Monday. So if you want to buy him, throw your hat into the ring. I've long since been a fan of this. I was hugely impressed with him as a 2-year-old. I actually backed him in the Dewhurst. I backed him to win the Guineas. I backed him in the Breeders' Cup. I've backed him for just about everything, including the boat race. I have given up on him, but there was no denying Blinker's first time last week. That made the difference to him. And he certainly won one of the leading contenders for that race. Couldn't rule him out at all based on that. And his overall CV, which I always think he should have been better than he actually was, but there's no denying he's back in business. I presume the blinkers will be on him again. We'll see if they work a second time.
All right. Okay. So a bit of love for your first selection there. All right.
Okay.
This is going to be either a very good week for you or a dreadful week for you.
It could be an all right week.
All of your picks are on the first day.
They are in this segment, but there'll be other picks throughout the week for sure. The second one for now is Arcadian Sunrise in Ascot Stakes. You just told me he's been quite well back for that. I wasn't aware.
Yeah, let's go to Pat. This, I mean, and DJ, we'll bring you all on this, in turn. But this is a horse that always meets support, isn't it, Pat?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's an 8-year-old now, but he's got that sort of he could win a big handicap vibe about him. I've noticed already Harry Davis claiming 5, who everyone wants to book at the moment, has already been booked. So that's the first time for John Quealy. And he's got a decent profile. Forget his age, 8-year-old. He hasn't had too much mileage on the clock. Clearly, he's been mapped out for this, as indeed others are. You look at the top of the market, you've got Bring on the Night, Willie Mullins. We can guess what's going to happen there. That's going to be all the rage. An interesting runner as well is Pied Piper. We know him from his hurdling escapades. Will he get 2.5 miles? Used to be owned by the Queen, remember? She's going to be a bit sick, isn't she, if she's watching from the Royal Box and he hits the front with 50 yards to go. Jamie Spencer aboard that one. That's going to help him get the trip. Yeah, so it's a long old list, but the Irish dominate the market at the moment, and Cadian Sunrise even is there at third pair.
I called it sunset. I called it sunshine. I called it sunrise.
You called Desert Crown Desert Creek earlier to me off
yeah,
air.
all right, don't throw me under the bus. All right, I did actually call it Desert Creek as well, because I'm usually up one when I'm with you. Let's concentrate on this.
Right,
before we go to DJ.
Right, okay. This is normally a race won by the top jump yards, but just on pedigree, I'm not sure about Pied Piper over 2 mile 4.
Well, there's the Copper Horse handicap as well, isn't there? And mile 6.
Yeah, I suppose he's got that. That'd be more interesting.
There's a lot of double entries there, so
Yeah.
wait till Sunday maybe. For
I also
this.
think Bring on the Night. I mean, he ran 4th in the Supreme on his second start for Mullins. He's obviously a very interesting horse, but he flopped to Punchestown. And he's a Glen Eagles. Again, there's not much stamina on the dam side. I'm not sure about 2.5 miles.
If anyone's going to stretch him out, man.
Yeah, it's Willie Mullins, of course. But I thought they're both a little bit short. So I thought Arcade and Sunrise is rock solid. I mean, we know he's a strong stayer. He was 4th in the Chester Cup last time.
It was eye-catching.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Off the same mark again. That was his first start in 187 days.
Yeah.
Should put him spot on for this. I didn't know Harry Davis was booked, so that's a massive tick in the box.
Yeah, he's mustard, isn't he?
He's surely going to finish in the places.
All right, OK, DJ, this is a horse you'll know quite a bit about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Robbie makes a valid point there about his mark. I'd say this has been the plan. I know we ran very well in the Chester Cup. My problem with Arcadian Sunrise, he's rated 97, and I just wonder, is there kind of horses in or around him that are slightly more talented that are only giving him a very small amount of weight? Like Bring on the Night ran in the Supreme, and I know Willie Mullins thinks the world of him, and I just wonder, off 97, like, I don't think Arcadian Sunrise is a 110 horse, if you know what I mean. I think he's maybe got 1 or 2 pound up his sleeve, but I just don't know if he's got a mountain up his sleeve. I certainly think he will run really, really well, but just think he could be vulnerable to something that could be potentially chucked in that's really unexposed, that we don't know how good they are. That'd be my fear.
All right, then. I agree, though. He is solid in that. He's very interesting. Complete the trio.
The each-way play, Twilight Calls in the King's Stand. I know everyone keeps saying it's kind of getting a bit obvious now, but the race is going to be run at an absolutely ferocious gallop. So much pace in it. Not sure about Golden Pal running in Britain. He's not cut it there. He's not cut it on a straight track either. Nature Strip, interesting.
Very nearly won as a 2-year-old, didn't he? But
he did, yeah. But he's been beaten by the Lear Jet. Who did he ever win again? And that race was abysmal.
You just have to take your medicine. Whether you're either a Golden Pal fan or you're not, basically. He's a bit of
I'm a massive
horse.
fan. If he was running in Del Mar around a tight track,
He's unbeatable.
This is Ascot.
But this is Henry Candy, another Shively Park
yeah,
horse.
it is.
Strong.
Yeah, he was the real eye catcher in the Temple Stakes last time. I know Kings Lynn won that, but he didn't really get a run until it was too late. He conceded first run. This is going to suit a pouncer. He fits that bill. Henry Candy obviously won a Royal Ascot Sprint with Twilight's son. The Twilight Calls his dad. I think he's going to go really well. I know he's got quite a bit to find on ratings, but he's going to be finishing very well. And he's a nice each-way price at double figures, I believe.
Looking well away from the market as usual then, Robbie Wilders with an Ante-Post each-way pouncer, Pat, in the King's Stand.
Yeah, I look at Twilight Falls. I definitely think he's going to be best of the domestic runners. Very much unlucky last time out, but I think the draw is going to be crucial because we've got 2 absolute aeroplanes, haven't we? Golden Pal and the Aussie horse Nature Strip. Golden Pal is favourite at the moment, Nature Strip second favourite. Seems to be an awful lot of confidence behind them both. And on worldwide ratings, there's daylight between them and the others. So I think Twilight Calls is one for those each way for 4 places for sure. The draw is going to be important. You know, if they're spread far apart, the front 2, who are you going to track? Ryan Morrissey has already been booked for Twilight Calls, so that's his decision to make, not ours. But it's going to be a thriller of Fast and Furious. I just think the front 2 in the market, if you go on overall CVs, there's daylight between them and the rest. But Twilight Calls, yeah, definitely. You just look at that one, you think, well, he'll win a Group 1 at some point in his career.
He's a very strong travelling horse. There are some little teasers for you then, from DJ and Robbie Wilders. Thanks to the guys from them. We will be back with you on Monday, as previously promised. Myself and Pat won't be giving anything away. A whole preview show coming your way around about 4 p.m. on Monday. There you go, Royal Ascot on the horizon. Let's give you some big race previews, honing in on the domestic action. It's one of those weekends, guys, isn't it, with such a big meeting on the horizon. Do you keep your powder dry, or are you going to try and boost your bank? So those of you that want to try and find the winners, we're going to do that for you, starting in the 140 at Esher, the Grade 1 track at Sandown. Everyone loves flat racing there, Pat. This looks like a wide open heat.
It does. It's a very tricky race to price up at the moment. There's 3 horses making their seasonal reappearance: Sanitizer, V-Sight and Hamaki, all from very good stables as well. Hard to know the state of their fitness, so it'll be interesting to see how they go in the market. So I think the betting is going to focus on the 2 horses who've got good recent form. Aldaja of Charlie Hills, who won very well last time out, overcame trouble in running to win. And I thought Maplewood was probably my idea of the most likely winner. He's only had 4 runs, this fella. Adam Kirby for Charlie Appleby. Ran very well last time in a good race at York. He was 3rd of 20. So, so he's beaten plenty of horses that day. It looks as though the step up and trip is going to suit him. It's a furlong further on Sandown on Saturday. I think Maplewood might be favourite. Whether he wins is another thing. I say you've got some horses a horse like V-Sight, very hard horse to assess, really, just the 3 runs. Rafe Beckett's stable going well, of course. So watch the market for this one. It could be more than illuminating.
Yeah, some unexposed runners here then, DJ. V-Sight, as previously mentioned, in the Scope colours. And, of course, he's a brother to the Royal Ascot's hopeful. The Gold Cup hopeful. He moves up in trip. Was he on your radar or...?
Yeah, the one that I liked was Night of Luxury for Cy Binster and Pat Cosgrove. Now, he kind of came to life belatedly last time at Leicester, but I actually thought he was more impressive than, like, he won by a length and a half, but he was kind of waiting for a gap at one stage, and I thought he was well on top of the line. He beat Thunder Queen. Now, Thunder Queen has been a beaten favourite since and was a little bit disappointing, but I just thought from Night of Luxury, it was a performance to me which suggested there was plenty more to come, and the fact that they sent him to Meydan earlier on in the spring tells me that they obviously think a bit of him. He wasn't the type of horse you would send to Meydan, considering he was only rated 76 at the time. He's 78 now. He only went up £3 for winning at Leicester, and given he won by a length and a half, I thought that was really fair. I still think there's more improvement in him, and I thought at the price, I think he's turning to about 365. I thought Night of Luxury had a big chance.
All right, great stuff, DJ. Another one for the boys in blue. I like Maplewood for what it's worth as well. I thought he got a little bit lost, like Pat. I got a little bit lost, I thought he got at York last time. Watched that back, and I think he'll come off with the experience. He's got a good draw, Adam Kirby on, but this is not maximum stakes race for me at all. What about you,
Definitely
Bob?
not a maximum stakes race, but I like V-Sight.
You do?
Scopes, half brother. Only ever run over 7 furlongs at 2. He's going to relish the extra 2 furlongs. I know he's by Churchill, but Churchill seems to be getting quite a few sort of middle distance horses at 3. Yeah, I mean, he was just progressive at 2. He's improved his race post rating with each start. Sylvester Sousa booked. He's got a 23% strike rate for Rafe Beckett, which is pretty good. I mean, it's a seasonal return. I don't know if he's fit enough, but he just looks like he's on a good mark.
He
really.
will be, yeah. It's just a draw and the lack of experience. But yeah, I agree, he could be the fly in the ointment. Let's go up to the 2 o'clock at York, Pat. Great to have the Naismire back on What a Shout.
Yeah, and this is a fascinating race. And it's, of course, it's for female amateur riders, and all the good ones are there, of course. 4 to 1 the field at the moment. My eye is drawn to Top Anticipation of Harry Eustace with the excellent Becky Smith aboard. She's only won twice in her career, and they were her last 2 races. So she won an apprentice handicap over the course and distance last time. So that implies she's a straightforward ride. Course and distance winner. There's several with chances, of course. Cassili with Serena Brotherton, always a popular jockey booking. That will no doubt have her backers. But I just keep looking at Top Anticipation. You know, I have come from a greyhound background where you back the bitches in form, where she's a mare in form, so she'll do for me.
God, swear word.
We have to move on quickly on that one. This is the race where the ladies win their weight in champagne.
Did they?
Yeah.
I don't know loads about the race, to be honest. Tell me more about it.
Who's going to pop the corks then?
Who's going to pop the corks? What's her name? Molly Lando.
Oh, for the Baldings.
Yeah, I don't know loads about her, but she's 2 from 6 with 1 second on the flat and over jumps in the last 5 years, and she's claiming 5. A lot of the girls aren't claiming in that. Yeah, Kings of the Midlands. He sent off 2 to 1 favourite for the Wood Ditton on his debut. Yeah. That's always a red hot maiden. So he's obviously always been highly regarded. He's only run 5 times. He's yet to score, but he showed a bit of promise on his return. Harry Davis tried to slip the field at Goodwood, almost pulled it off under an end surprising front running ride. He's gone up £1 for that. I like to think there's more progression to come for a second run of the season. And, I mean, yeah, this Molly Lando, I don't know loads about her, but she might be kind of above average for that sort of level.
You don't sit on horses there unless you can steer them, do you? Absolutely. Yeah. I'm agreeing. It's a fairly tricky race. Throne Hall is quite interesting on his form from last year. The Ryans never quite got to the bottom of him. I bet there'll be money for him. DJ, help us out on this.
Oh, me and Pat Cooney are going in together here. Top Anticipation. Like, she was 0 from 13 before she won at Leicester. And she's won her last 2 starts. And you might think, she's shown nothing if she was 0 from 13 going into a race at Leicester last month. but she actually was just beaten on her second start in a Newmarket maiden. And I'd say she's always had ability, and they're just finally getting it out of her now. And I think Harry Eustace, he's had 4 winners from his last 10 runners, so his team are in top form as well. Becky Smith takes the ride. She's a course and distance winner. I think she'll go off much harder than she is in the market at the moment.
All right then, that's the ladies' race. It's always good fun there. It's a really good card at York. Despite, again, this is the weekend, isn't it? Some people say it's dreadful racing this weekend, but
yeah, it's all right, isn't it? It's still it's below average for a Saturday, but above average for a weekday, isn't it? So.
Some really good handicaps at Sandown as well over the mile. We go to the 2:15 next, Pat. Who's heading the market?
Well, at the moment, Encouraged is favourite, and there's a lot to be encouraged about, isn't there? Trained by James Fanshawe, stable going well. Sylvester Book got a low draw. You can pretty much guess he's going to go forward and certainly be handy in the race, and has won his last 2 in good style. Second favourite is an interesting runner, Uzo, who, if you go back a year, off a rating of 96, and bear in mind he's 94 tomorrow, he was 4th in the Royal Hunt Cup. I watched that race this morning. He was a desperately unlucky loser of that race. Okay, he's been beaten in every run since, but he had his first run for Jamie Osborne last time out and ran perfectly well enough. Daughter Safi aboard. Drawn 6, that's okay. So I'll be on the Uzo at 2:15 at Sandown.
There's an image. It was a huge drifter that day, wasn't it? First run for the stable.
Yeah.
They probably had the Hunt Cup in mind, so they're coming here to... I mean, he's got to go close. I think Lyndon B was just behind him that day, having sort of made his move a bit sooner. I probably would be with Uzo as well. The favourites... form took a little bit of a knock yesterday on one of the races I was covering. Can't remember exactly, but it was a Newbury, of course. So I'm not sure about him, DJ. What about you?
Oh, it's like I've stolen Pat's notes. Uzo for me, like he traded at 1.03 at Sandown in the last day. It looked over. For all the world, it looked like he was going to go by and just win the race. And it was a little bit disappointing that he didn't get the job done. And he hasn't won in a while, but he's only £4 higher now. And to me, it was a real performance, which suggested there was more to come. I still think he's quite well handicapped, given his back form. And, obviously likes the track. And if you look back, I'd invite viewers to watch back his last. He looked all over a winner and was just done. So, Uzo for me. Yeah,
it was a strong race. That was, of course, a Brigadier General night, wasn't it? Are we all pouring it on then?
Nah, sorry to let the team down. Sheer rocks for me. Eve Johnson-Horton tried to make a Derby horse out of him. Ran him in the Derby trial, way too keen. Didn't get home over the Mile 2 trip.
Okay.
He won both his starts at 2 in pretty good fashion. He's not a 1 Mile 2 horse, he's a miler. He's by Ifrage. Just think he potentially on a pretty good mark. And that Epsom trial race has turned out better than any I can remember in recent years.
Okay.
I mean, the first 2 ran all right in the Derby.
Nations, yeah.
United Nations won the trial.
Mighty
Ulysses won
good
a
horse,
decent race. And Zane Surrender almost won a listed race. So it's pretty good form. I know he finished last of 8, but he's off 88. He's the unexposed one in the field and might be a bit better than that mark.
Sheer rocks. Interesting. Let's stick at Sandown then. Finally, some listed action coming your way. It's the Scurry Stakes. And Pat, there's going to be a warm order here.
Yeah, Couture, Clive Cox and Adam Kirby. I don't know if I'm trying to make this more complicated than it really is, because this one's got £10 in hand on official ratings. He has won a Group 2. This is a Class 1 listed race, but he has got the penalty for winning that. The form book says, what's the problem here? £10 in hand, over 5 furlongs, 6 runners. It's all pretty much straightforward, but he's no bargain, is he? 11 to 10. I thought value might be right at the other end of the market with Illustrating Carl Burke, which is stall 1. You can forget her reappearance at Bath. Nothing went right for her. Many horses get beat and run bad at Bath, and they're better than that. Her juvenile form, she was mixing it with all the good 6 furlong, 5 furlong fillies. So maybe Illustrating would appeal to me more. Probably have a straight forecast, Couture to beat her. But there is loads of pace in the race. Living the dream, he doesn't hang around. I don't know if I'm just complicating it. Couture is a good thing, but I'd rather back Illustrating around about 7 or 8 to 1.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Pat. DJ, let's come to you. I've seen some strange results in this race over the years, probably like you have as well. But this does look like one of the solid bankers of the weekend, or?
I don't know. I think you've got to take it on at that price. The one that I've liked all week for this is Get Ahead, who I thought ran really well last time at York. She missed a break in that Lister race. She was beaten less than 3 lengths by Last Crusade. But she was 6th in the Queen Mary last year, and she was very impressive on her debut at Ascot. I think she's a smart enough filly. She's only rated 93, and on the ratings, she cannot beat Couture. But I definitely don't think we've seen the best of her yet. And I think all of her performances this year have been kind of ones where you've said, oh, God, she's better than the bare form of this. Even at Bath, when she he kind of missed the start as well, and she knocked into the one in the stall next to her. I think she's better than we've seen so far. I think she's a smart filly. I think when things fall into place, she'll really show what she's made of, and I like her a lot.
Ooh, a stable mate for DJ then with Liam Canary on. Just give a little bit of weight behind that. I think they were stunned when she got beaten at Kempton on her return, that horse. And this is the sort of level they think she'll be at. Are you looking away from the fav as well?
I am, yeah. I think I'd rather lay him. He's close to odds on, isn't he? I'd rather lay him at that price. I don't know, maybe I'm looking too much into this, but I was quite surprised he wasn't left in the Commonwealth Cup next week. I mean, his best form was over 6 in the middle part last season. Does that suggest he's not completely firing, or are they trying to make him an out-and-out 5-furlong sprinter? I don't know. But he's got a £5 penalty anyway. And there's some in here that are open to quite a bit of progression. I like Mitt Barhi for Roger Varian. He needs a strong pace, but he's going to get that. I mean, his breeding suggests he's going to be better over sort of like a mile in time. But I could just see him coming from last to first like he did at Hamilton last time in a decent conditions race. He's actually a half-brother to a horse called Going Global, who won the Del Mar Oaks in America last season. But it just kept improving, like won a nursery off 70 for Mick Halford in 2020. But all the family just keep improving with age. And I just feel like this horse is probably one of the unexposed ones who's open to a lot more than we've seen so far.
That's interesting. Didn't he turn something over when he won last time? It was a short price.
Mitt Barhi,
You've obviously got your mouse there. Come on.
Hang on. Yeah, well, he's 15-8 that day. But
okay, I thought he turned something over anyway.
Nah.
He came onto my radar that day as well. That's the Scurry Stakes, Fast and Furious. Maybe Couture, not the good thing many people were expecting. OK then, final race preview for you on Saturday. Back up to the Naysmire we go. 3:05. We've gone from a fast sprint over 5 to a mile 6. It's the road to the Ebor, Pat.
Yeah, it's an intriguing race, this one. It's more a case of me not fancying anything than fancying something. I mean, Mandub was a very good reappearance. But he did make the running that day. He got an uncontested lead without the fight as a front runner, so those two may take each other on. I was scratching around trying to find a result. I thought Kamari, when he won at Royal Ascot last year, I just presumed he'd go on a winning run. He hasn't won since, so I don't know where we are with him. And you look at a horse like John Leaper. If I told you this horse was 8-1 for the Epsom Derby a year ago, it's hard to imagine that he could be backed at a bigger price like this. So, again, he's there for a reason. Ed Dunlop is back in business, by the way. He's having winners. I just keep coming back to the old boy, Yukon Glen. Now, I know people in the Jim Goldie camp say, look, he's a 9-year-old. He doesn't know he's a 9-year-old. He runs around like a juvenile all his life. You can make excuses for him. You have to be a little bit lenient. But why not him at around about 6-1?
They're trying to reinvent him as a stayer, aren't they? And he'll definitely find this a bit easier, that's for sure. He's one of many people's favourite horses in training, Yukon Glen. What about you, DJ? Where are we going to tip in this? Kamari, for me, was one of the touches of my Royal Ascot. That Queen's Vase form, absolute toilet, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly worked out that way. The one that I like is Mandub. I know he got a freebie on front at Ascot, but he did quicken it kind of midway, and I don't think that's too bad a form, being beaten 2 lengths by Al-Azi. I think that was a decent performance. I like the angle of second run after wind up. And I like that run behind Ebor at Newmarket last year. I think he's unexposed compared to the rest of them. He hasn't had that many starts. And I think there's going to be more to come from him. He's the one I liked all week for this race.
I was a bit surprised that Shadwell got rid of him. I know that Meehan's horses, that was an end for the old Hamdan Tomb colours for Brian. But I like this guy as well. He's top weight, actually, in the Ascot Stakes in a minute, which means the weight's going to be mucked around a little bit on Tuesday, assuming he's not going to turn out
he
quickly.
won't be going there, will he?
But John Leaper, very talented horse, but he's a nutter, isn't he?
Not for me. Yeah, I like Mandub as well. I mean, Shadwell might have missed one here. I know they're having a great season. I think like 55% of their horses have either won or placed. Like, that's outstanding.
I hope he wins this, because I'm a big fan of Brian Mears. He was great on this show when we had him. He's one of the good guys out there. This is the horse I thought that might just take him back to some Belmont derbies, that sort of thing. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I actually think he might get a freebie here, because without a fight, makes the running sometimes, but he's untested over 1 mile 6. He's more of a 1 mile 4 horse. It'd make no sense to ride him aggressively for him in order to get that trip.
Wouldn't mind that at York, though, would you? Your horse cracking on with it.
No, I guess not. But I just think that was a really good run when he behind Al-Azi. I really fancy Al-Azi for the Hardwick next week. The only time he's ever run a bad race was when there was cut in the ground behind Scope, when he was 3rd in the Noel Merler Stakes at Ascot last season. Apart from that, his record's rock solid. Good second to Ebor in the Bahrain Trophy. I've got no doubts about the trip. I think he's the right favourite, and I think he's going to be very tough to beat.
Yeah, he came a long way quickly last year. I think he'll be a better 4-year-old as well. Right then, that's 3 votes for Mandoob, and that is your weekend preview. Right, what a panel we've got for weekend winners for you, and it's nap time. Some of you probably scrolled straight forward to this, so let's not waste any time. 3:40 at York, Catherine Memorial Handicap Sprint. Brilliant race this for the 3-year-old sprinters. Yes, it's not Royal Ascot, but this is a really good prize. I think Mick Shannon's definitely got the winner here in Ingrator. That absolute key race at Newmarket that he won on Guineas weekend. This is a pattern sprinter in a handicap. From stall 11, that was the icing on the cake, Robbie Wilders.
305 Mandoob, 305 at York, Mandoob. For the aforementioned reasons, think he might get an easy lead, think he's the progressive one in the field, think he's going to stay, think he's going to win.
Keeping it solid Wilders this week. A lot of love for that, wasn't there? Pat Cooney?
Sandown, 4 o'clock, number 9, Golden Voice. I thought he was very unlucky loser last time when he was second at York. There were 20 runners that day. He went up £5, but when you beat 18 others and you go up £5, that's got to be deemed reasonable. Now, I'm not thrilled about the draw. He's drawn 9 in a 7-furlong handicap, but I got Tom Marquand and William Haggis in my corner, and an unlucky loser last time out, and he's well handicapped. What more do you want?
Absolutely, great firm, isn't it? Now, he's given us his banker already at Royal Ascot. For those of you that did just come to this section, you're going to go and want to look back at our Royal Ascot mini preview that we did. But Dave Jennings, what's the best bet on this weekend?
And going to the 350 at Limerick, and a horse called I Have a Voice for Jim Bulger and Kevin Manning. Real interesting son of Vocalise. Last season, all his runs were over 5 or 6. So he ran 3 times, and they were trying to make him into a sprinter. He actually ran against Tenebrism first time out in Naas and was quite well backed. And then he bumped into Gluton in a maiden as well at the Curragh. But he was quite highly tried. And on his third start, he ran into Twilight Jet, who's going for the Commonwealth Cup. So this season, they realised obviously he needed a trip. And last time at Leopardstown, over a mile and 2, I thought he absolutely bolted up off 67. He won by just under 4 lengths. He was well on top the whole way up the home straight. He looked like a horse that was light years ahead of his handicap. He has gone up £10, but I think there's loads more to come. I think he's an unexposed middle distance handicapper who could rattle off maybe a hat-trick. And I think the second of those wins could come here off 77. I Have a Voice in the 350 at Limerick.
Oh, I love that, absolutely. Yeah, I forgot Limerick was even racing this weekend, so we need some help there. Great stuff, some top yards there, and a lucky 15 for you this weekend. Well, sadly, that's what we've got time for then on this weekend's What a Shout. It's been fun, hasn't it? Getting your naps in below. I want to read them overnight, please. Been great to have you with us, DJ. Again, calm before the storm. Have we got you out there, of course, banging the keyboard before Royal Ascot next week?
Yeah, have indeed. This weekend, I am actually off on Saturday and I'm working Sunday and then fly over Monday. And looking forward to Good Morning Royal Ascot every day next week with Paul Keeley, Keels, of course, Natalie Green and Maddie Plale and Jonathan Harding a couple of days. So it's going to be interesting.
Absolutely imperative viewing for everyone out there. It's a wonderful slot. It's a great team. It's cementing, and you get all the winners there. DJ was on fire last weekend. He's being modest as well. Thanks, DJ. Thank you, Robbie Wilders.
Cheers for having me, Dave.
Absolute pleasure. We'll be seeing you a bit on some feature shows.
You'll be seeing me next week for sure. You won't be seeing me this weekend though, because I'll be off. But
I wonder if I'll be seeing you on Wednesday if your 3 go tits basically on Tuesday. So
yeah, I'll still show up. Yeah.
You're that sort of man, aren't you? I can't keep him down. Pat Cooney, wonderful. Now, I'll be seeing you on Monday, Pat, in the afternoon. We've got a very special guest coming to join myself and Keels and you in the studio. It's Oisin Murphy.
Oisin Murphy, yeah, really looking forward to it. And a very good judge of horses, isn't he? So really, really looking forward to that. And hopefully we'll crack a few races.
Well, that's the hope, isn't it? Absolutely. Myself and Pat are going to be beavering away, burning the midnight oil, looking for the winners for you there. We'll be doing all the preview races, of course, of the biggies and a 2-year-old section, naps, next best, and one to swerve as well. Do not miss that Monday afternoon. So much coming your way here then next week at the Racing Post. In members clubs, do sign up to that. It's a great offer, of course, that I've told you about. Don't forget to download the free must-have Racing Post app. You can do that on the App Store or the Google Play Store. This weekend, guys, gamble responsibly, please. That's what we want to see. From myself, Dave Orton, do enjoy the sport.